Welcome to FilmRiot Mondays. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to let you guys know about two new packs we have coming out, which is the horror LUT pack. We released our cinematic LUT packs, and you guys seem to really dig them. I use them all the time. I'm really happy with how they came out. So we wanted to do a horror LUT pack, being that it's October and we have Bloodtober coming up. So it's 39 horror LUTs based off of horror movies. We have a huge list of them. They're all really, really great. Benjamin Lemonade did a great job on those. And then we also teamed up with Rampant Design to do a blood asset pack with a ridiculous amount of blood assets, from squib hits to splatters to splashes, wall splats, all kinds of crazy stuff and stuff that I've never even seen before. Sean had some amazing ideas and they put together a really great pack. So that's coming out on the 6th as well. So keep an eye out for both of those. And now let's get to some questions. Now that you're rocking the beautiful C300 Mark II, will you still be renting cameras for short films, at least in the foreseeable future? Yes, absolutely. We actually just did for our 2 horror comedy shorts that are coming out very soon for Bloodtober. We rented the Alexa Mini because that was the camera that I thought was best to tell the story we were going to tell. So it's always about what are we about to shoot, how is each camera different, and then going from there. Of course, with the right process and knowing each camera, you really can land on the same sort of look regardless of what camera you use. It's really about knowing how to get the visual you want, but each camera for me definitely has its own sort of feel, so I always base it on that. In your experience, how do you get the best performance possible out of your volunteer actors / friends when acting isn't their strong suit, but they love you so much that they're volunteering anyway because they know it's what you need? Well, the first thing is to make sure you're not giving them something that there's no way that they can achieve. There's certain levels of emotion that just people who aren't actors, it's just not going to happen. So if you're trying to pull off this really emotional scene where there's crying or a major fight or something like that, it's probably not going to ring true no matter what, unless they are just inherently talented at that sort of thing, which is few and far between. It's hard to come by. So really it's about knowing each person's personality, what they're like in real life, what they're likely going to be like once a camera turns on, and writing for that, giving them things that aren't too much of a challenge. And then if you do need something like, say, crying, plan your project with that in mind. Plan to maybe cut to a wide and you're even behind them, so you're only hearing it, you're not seeing it, so you're not asking them to go to levels that there's just no way that they're going to get to, which is just going to ruin the film in the end. So it's about getting creative and trying to figure out a way to tell your story while not asking too much of the people that you're putting in front of the camera. And it's difficult too because you're not going to direct them the same way you would a professional actor. There's a lot more manipulation involved. Manipulation is a weird word to use here, but it really is what you're doing. You're telling them things and doing different things to lead them toward an area. I needed someone to be shocked once, and no matter what we did, they would not be shocked. So I handed someone a hammer and told them on cue just to haul off and whack this piece of metal as hard as they possibly could. Actor didn't know what was going to happen. They did it. The person freaked out. We got the reaction that we needed, moved on. They didn't love it, but it worked. And when you're working with, people who don't have the tools to get there without that sort of stimulation, doing things like that will really help you along. Hi, my friends and I are participating in a 48-hour film project. Any advice for making a short film in a short time span? I mean, that's basically what we do for FilmRiot. Across all of FilmRiot, that is basically what it has always been, is in a way a 48-hour film festival, because every week we're delivering an entire episode, let alone a sketch, in just a couple of days. And it's really just about not being too precious, coming up with an idea that sparks interest and really following that through. I think experience obviously definitely comes into play with that and will help you out, but just relying on each other to find the right ideas and then just going after it and not being too precious about anything. One thing that I think is a big trap for 48-hour film festivals, and really any short film at all, is pacing. I see most 48-hour type film festivals, the pacing's not dialed in, so it feels very long, drawn out, and boring. So make sure you're thinking about pacing when you're editing and you're making it as tight and streamlined as possible. If you could have one prime lens, what would it be? Either 35 or 50, depending on what sensor I'm shooting on. Probably a 50. but one prime lens alone isn't super ideal. But I do feel like I end up on a 50 more than not. What kind of post-audio process do you guys go through on your smaller scale stuff? I'm looking for a quick process, not too in-depth, for not too high scale workflow. Usually in Audition, I do a match volume where it goes through and it raises the lows and it drops the highs a little bit to normalize everything a touch. After that, I take it in and I denoise a little bit. Then I'll drop on some EQs, usually a few instances of EQs, and I'll do some bell sweeping, which is where you raise the frequency up real high, crush what it's looking at, what frequencies it's actually looking at, finding the nasty bits and turning that down a little bit. After I've done that about 3 times to take out the grossness, I'll do sort of an overall EQ, then add a hard limiter to make sure we're not peaking, and I'm done. And that's sort of the normal for something like this or my stand-ups. Last question, GoPro Karma versus Mavic Pro. I have no idea because I haven't used either, but just from looking online, Mavic Pro all the way. That thing looks amazing. I know the image quality is seems to be a little bit lesser than what you're getting from like the Phantom 4 camera, but it has like sort of this nicer milky quality to it. It doesn't have that gross, like overly sharp look that the other cameras do. So I'm really curious to get my hands on it and to see what you could do with it in post, because there's almost more of a filmic quality to it potentially, just based off of the stuff that I've seen online, which you've seen online as well. But a really great video for you to check out would be Casey Neistat's videos on it, which you can see in the notes below. He had some good thoughts. Working in the film industry is really exciting, but if you don't know how to get involved or you just aren't quite sure what role you want to take on, Full Sail University can help you figure that out. Full Sail offers film degrees on campus and online that really show you what it's like to work on a film from start to finish. You even get to work hands-on with the same equipment professionals use. The campus undergraduate film program introduces you to the different roles involved in filmmaking so you can figure out if you're more of an editor, director, or even a camera operator. Also check out the online digital cinematography degree where you can learn the film basics in a modern digital spin, or maybe you already have film experience and are ready to take your skills to another level. You can build a graduate level portfolio and perfect your technique with film graduate degree. Full Sail grads have worked on films like Age of Ultron, Minions, Jurassic World, Frozen, and a bunch more. And if you want to find out more about these film programs and how to get started, visit fullsail.edu/FilmRiot. So that's it for today, which means it's time for my suggestion of the week. This one is called On the Edge of Blade Runner, which is a documentary look at the making of Blade Runner. Lots of interviews, great stuff. You can find it right here. Until next week, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.